But you have to understand that you can't just look at things from your own perspective. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. And a person that does some self-accounting will always find something to work on. Will always find something to work on. This is why it fascinates me how people have any time to spend on the internet. How do you have time to spend on the internet? There are so many things to do. If you evaluate your relationship with Hashem the right way, that already eliminates all the time that exists in the world. If you actually evaluate it the right way. Now let's say we're not tzaddikim, we're not able to do all that. Okay, so we evaluate it somewhat. Then you evaluate your relationship with your own family, your own circle, your community, your rabbi, your spiritual account. Where do you stand? Already that takes up half the day. If you evaluate your relationship against Am Israel, where do you stand? Do you care? Do you not care? Are you contributing? Or are you one of these leeches that only takes? Where you see some people literally, all they want to do is take. They cannot contribute anything to anyone. Why? These are sick people. Sick people. Don't get mad at them. They're sick. Unfortunately, you hope that they do tshuva. You hope that these people wake up one day and realize it's not just the world around you. It's also you have to work on. But nonetheless, you have situations, you have circumstances where you have people that don't pay attention to anything, and you could have their whole lives going to the garbage without them even realizing. Or better yet, they know it's a problem, but it's too painful for them to fix it, so they simply decide to live with it. This is usually the most common. People are aware of their issues, but they simply are not willing to deal with the pain. They don't want to work on it. They don't want to fix it. They figure, listen, as long as I have the basics that I need, who needs to deal with this pain? This is unfortunately a bad decision that many people make. And again, you don't have to deal with everything at all times. But if you have enough time to waste on the internet, to read the news, to read the comments, to go back and forth with people, to make friends on the internet. How do you have time to make friends on the internet, Ribono Shel Olam? You have a family, you have kids, you have a husband, you have a wife, you have a job, you have stuff to do. How do you have time for all this stuff? Who has time for all of this stuff? If I could ask for anything from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, other than please have mercy on me and allow me to enter Gan Eden one day, the only thing I could ask is literally give me some more time so maybe I have a chance to enter Gan Eden. I mean, I don't understand how people have all this time. They make friends and they go to bars and they go have a drink. Oh, and what did you do this weekend? How do you have time for these conversations? Who has time for this stuff? Rabotai, we didn't come to this world to have coffee and cake. We came to this world to work. And unless you take your life seriously, no one else will. No one else will. This is what the Gaon Vilna is telling his Talmid Chacham son-in-law. Now, if you think this is exaggeration, let's just read the words. After telling him to learn Musar, after telling him to learn Torah for the sake of heaven, meaning don't expect anything in return. Learn Torah for the sake of learning Torah and fulfilling the words of Hashem. That's it. Don't ask for reward. Don't ask for anything. Learn Torah for the sake of learning Torah. That's it. After telling him to do that, after telling him to learn Musar, he still has to remind him, my dear son-in-law, I have to remind you. What does he have to remind you? You should honor your mother-in-law, meaning the Gaon Vilna's wife, and honor your children's grandmother, who is the Gaon Vilna's mother. You should greatly honor them. With regard to everyone, conduct yourself with politeness, gentleness, and respect. I don't understand. He's not talking to some gangster that's trying to do tshuva. He's talking to a Talmid Chacham. He's talking to a Talmid Chacham, his son-in-law, somebody he knows. And he's telling him things that you're supposed to tell yourself, things that you're supposed to tell your children, things that you're supposed to tell people that perhaps don't know this. But he's telling them the same thing. He's reminding them of what's the obvious. Because as the Ramchal says in his preface, in the introduction to Mesilat Yesharim, I'm only here to remind you of the things you already know, but in reality we don't know any of it, and everything is a chidush. But nonetheless, he says, I'm only here to remind you of all these things. Why remind you? Because the things that we already know, typically, we don't pay attention to them. We don't pay attention to them.